is with cruise ships is it's not like working at home. You don't get a weekend off. You get hours off. You get time off. You get maybe half a day off. So if someone's trying to fill your precious time off with more work stuff, you will literally feel like you never left work. Hey sailors, welcome back to Cruising as Crew. My name is Lucy, and today we're going to be talking about how to separate professional and personal when working on a cruise ship. But please press like and subscribe for some more cruise ship content. And as for now, let's get into the video. Right, so as I said, today we're going to be talking about how to separate professional and personal life. So the thing on a cruise ship is professional and personal collide. There is a very, very fine line. Actually, there isn't a line, it all just merges into one, which is where you can find like an issue that you're having in your personal life can affect your professional life, because you socialize with the people that you work with the people that you go out with, etc. So it's very easy to let one affect the other. And the thing is, unlike at home, you don't have physical boundaries. So like you have the office, which is where you work, and then you come home and, I mean, that's your home, that's where you live. So if you have an issue with Sally at the office, it's okay, because you're gonna come home to Hayley and she's, you know, a friend at home. She has nothing to do with work. So you can talk about Sally to Hayley and they will never ever connect. Sally is work, Hayley is home, friend, personal. And it's, you know, it's very easy. There are physical boundaries. You may not know this, but on a cruise ship, I mean, there isn't. It's a ship. It all happens on a ship. So it's really hard because yes, you work with Sally, but you also go out with Sally and you also see these new ports with Sally, and Sally is everywhere you fucking go. So we need to be able to deal with Sally because she's gonna be around. So the way to deal with it, I found, is basically creating your own boundaries. You have to draw your own line in the sand. Because like anything, if you don't have boundaries or standards, then I mean, people just walk all over you. I know, I've experienced it. So I've decided to create some boundaries and I thought I would share them with you today, but not before I share a little story of my own. So there was this one time where I lived with my assistant manager. So obviously at work, she is my boss, and in the cabin we are equals. However, it was very hard not to let that work dynamic come into our cabin. I mean, I disagree with that completely. I think you should definitely live with someone who is the same work level as you, but as maybe some of you have experienced, if you work on cruise ships, that isn't always possible, because there might not be enough cabins for you to do that. And the other thing is, like, on a lot of ships there is only one assistant manager, and assistant managers have to share. So if there's only one assistant manager, she's gonna share with, you know, someone of a lower rank to her, which was the situation I was in. So me and my assistant manager were sharing a cabin. Now, personal life, we were really good friends. We really like each other, still do. However, professionally, we didn't always get on because we do things very differently. So, how do you not let that affect your friendship? So we became quite good at this, and there was a lot of trial and many errors. So basically, one time we got a visit from head office. So like our boss's boss was there, and you're not allowed to have your phones at, well, we're not allowed to have our phones at work. And I, little Miss Naughty, was on my phone at work. I don't know, I was texting someone or scrolling or whatever. And basically my roommate, my assistant manager, came round and she caught me on my phone. And she yelled at me, and I mean yelled at me. So I was like, obviously I apologized there and then. Oh my God, it fell out. Okay, it's back in. The hoop is back in. Anyway, so she yelled at me. I apologized instantaneously because I deserved, to be told off, because, I was on my phone and I knew I wasn't supposed to be. However, I did not appreciate being yelled at. So when we had both cooled down and we went back to our cabin, we discussed it. And I said, look, I fully understand why you told me off. I was on my phone and I shouldn't have been. However, it would have been nice if you hadn't screamed in my face. And she was like, well, I'm sorry for screaming in your face. And she said, but I was very, very, very stressed anyway because our boss is here. And it just came out like that. And she was like, I wasn't annoyed that you were on your phone as much. I was annoyed that you would put me in that position where I had to tell you not to do something when you know that you're not allowed to do it, but you still went ahead and did it, knowing that if I found you, I would have to tell you not to do that. And the thing is, I was really lucky that she found me because, she found me and she gave me a slap on the wrist. If my boss's boss had found me on my phone, there might have been more consequences than what I got. So, and I completely understood that when she explained it, and I just thought, you know what, yeah, you're right, I just really shouldn't have put you in that position. Because here's the thing, unless you're a tyrant, nobody enjoys telling people off. And it's bad enough when you have to tell someone off who's just your colleague. Sally, she's just my colleague. But when you have to tell someone off who is your friend, that's really, really awkward. And that's the position that I put her in. So, but it's hard. It's really difficult to kind of divide the two worlds, the personal and the professional. We're both two very, I would say, level-headed people, so we were able to move on from that and understand that that was a professional issue, and we discussed it, we got over it, we apologized, and we didn't let it affect our friendship. However, I have been in many, many situations before where they have affected one another. Like, there was an issue with a guy, and personally, we just didn't get on. We just weren't each other's cup of tea. And it's really, this was like when we were both quite young actually, and it's hard not to bring that into work, but we couldn't. Like, I would go up to him and be like, do you know where the stapler is? And he'd be like, oh, why are you talking to me? I'm like, because, even though we don't like it, this is it. Like, we have to work together for the next 9 months. So, okay, we may not like each other outside of work, and don't get me wrong, we're not going to braid each other's hair and go out together in port, but nevertheless, we do have to work together. So, it's hard. But the first thing is you have to acknowledge it yourself. So if someone does something that pisses you off, you firstly have to analyze it and just be like, right, is this a personal thing or is this a professional thing? And if it is a professional thing, then you need to deal with it professionally. You need to completely forget that you have a personal relationship with this person and pretend you are talking to someone who you only have a professional relationship with. And exactly the same as a personal issue. If you've fallen out with someone, you have to forget that they're your manager or you're their manager, and you have to talk to them like a friend and not like, their boss or like they're your boss, because as soon as you bring that into it, game over, because those two worlds are colliding again, and that's when you get the spill of whatever issue it is into all aspects of your life on board. So the first one, and probably the most important one, is the physical boundaries. I have definitely learned that I need physical boundaries. I need the office and the cabin. I cannot have the two interlinked. So, when I had an issue with a manager, I spoke to them in the office. literally in the office. I didn't bring it up in the crew bar, I didn't bring it up in the cabin, I didn't bring it up when we were out in port having a nice day off, because it's work. So I brought it up in work. And the same thing is if, professionally we're absolutely fine, but personally something happened, I am not going to bring that up at work. I have to bring that up either in the cabin, in the crew bar, on the beach when we're off, wherever it is, but I have to make those physical boundaries. Don't be afraid to tell people what you need. So for example, because they are interlinked, and because a lot of people, including myself up until recently, didn't really get the whole physical boundaries thing, you can be off in port with a load of people that you happen to work with, and they will bring up work, and they will either start bitching about work or they will just start talking about work. And I have got to the point now where I'm like, look, we can talk about this later, but right now we are not at work, so I need you to not talk about work. And the same is if we're at work and someone comes up to me and starts talking about a personal issue. Maybe they don't have an issue with me, but it's just a personal issue of their own. I'm like, look, we're at work. This is work. I need you to shut up. Obviously, I wouldn't say that, but let's talk about this later. So don't be afraid to tell people what you need. I think it's, yes, obviously be selfless and help your friends out and do what you can to help other people, but that you do need to be selfish to a certain extent when it comes to your emotional well-being. And talking to a lot of people and knowing from personal experience, my emotional well-being was a lot better when I established these boundaries of work and play. Once you've created these boundaries, it actually makes you have a thicker skin, because if someone tells you off at work, you don't take it personally, because it's a work thing, and you are able to compartmentalize them. So therefore, if someone's telling you off because you didn't clean the cooker or I don't know, whatever, it's not like oh my god, she's my friend and she's telling me off. It's like, okay, she's my friend, but she's my manager first, and I need to clean the cooker. And it's a 50-50 thing. If I do my job, she wouldn't have needed to tell me off. So and getting a thick skin on board a cruise ship is vital, because if you have a thick skin, it allows you to be more communicative, which basically leads to better relationships. I remember when we were at work, and it was it had been a really hard time at work. There was a lot of changes to the team, and one of my really good friends started talking to me about an issue he had, and I just said, I love you, but I can't listen to this right now, because I have just been able to get myself to a good place with whatever the work, whatever. No. And you have to be able to say no. If someone wants you to be their shoulder, and trust me, I have been a lot of people's shoulder over the years anyway, and I don't mind it, and I'm if someone needs it, I'm happy to do that. But I'm going to be a rubbish shoulder for someone if I'm not able to take the weight of their problem. So you have to be strong in order to be strong for someone else. So if someone is talking to you about something that you aren't able to deal with, then you just need to say, look, I can't deal with it right now. And you don't have to be rude. You just say, look, can we please talk about this later today or in a week from now or whatever, because I just can't deal with it. And when instead of listening to their problem and making yourself weaker or just kind of shutting them down and being rude, it saves any resentment happening. So you just need to be able to open yourself up, talk to them, and just say, look, X, Y, and Z is not good for me right now. Can we do it another day or another time or whatever? When it comes to working on a cruise ship, a lot of people really have not figured the whole boundary thing out. So you have to lead the way, and this comes back to being communicative. You have to tell people, if you're out having a nice trip out and someone starts talking about work, you have to say, look, maybe not now. Now's not the time to talk about work. You can talk to me about this later. And, you know, I mean, I really don't see how someone's going to take offense to that if you explain it properly. And the same about work. People just can't bring their personal shit to work. It is not healthy, you know? It's really not healthy. I mean, I had this girl that I work with, and God, she was amazing, but she was always fighting with her boyfriend, and she was always crying at work about this boyfriend. And I tried to kind of help her by saying, you know, maybe you should try and like leave that at home. I was nice about it. I was a shoulder, whatever. But it affects your work performance, bringing your personal shit to work. And it's not healthy for anyone around you. And the same with, you know, your personal life. Everyone needs time to decompress. And the thing is with cruise ships is it's not like working at home. You don't get a weekend off. You get hours off. You get time off. You get maybe half a day off. So if someone's trying to fill your precious time off with more work stuff, you will literally feel like you never left work. And I honestly think that's why I was so exhausted after my first contract, because at work I talked about work. On my time off, I talked about work. I talked about work all the time. So consequently, I was like, I don't think I've left work for 9 months or for 10 months. So you really, really need to set the boundaries and make them clear to who you are surrounding yourself with. They need to know what they can and can't do, and it just makes things so much easier. You know, when people know where they stand, it's better. Just, you know, but in order to get a thick skin, you need to set your own boundaries, because on a cruise ship there's no physical boundaries, so it's very easy for the two things to merge into one. Anyway, I really hope this video helps you think about boundaries, think about creating physical boundaries. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.